you know who it is. Your favorite greaser on your favorite greaser YouTube channel. Madman here. So what's doing? Well, I'll tell you what's doing. Tonight's video is going to be about the original era greasers versus the modern era greasers and what the differences are between them. But before I get into that, I want to say thank you for all those who turned out to check out the live stream. I had a fucking blast. I hope you guys had a blast. You know, we're now going over fucking, was it 2060, 2070, whatever it is now. I mean, it's just fucking growing. It's like growing like a fucking weed. I love it. I love all you. To cheers. Back on track. Also, an update. Before I get into this video, I have actually made the hashtag 2020 Rockabilly Revival sticker. I have it up. I put it up a couple nights ago. I just haven't advertised it. I'm going to put it up on all my social media stuff, the Facebook fan page, the Instagram, the Twitter. If you guys aren't following that yet, well, you need to. The links are down below in the description. You guys know the deal. We'll also post the link to the sticker in the description below. This is the kind of sticker, guys, that anybody can get. You know, you get it, you can put it on your jacket, you can put it on a fucking billboard, a fucking, bulletin board, a fucking, bumper, wherever you guys want to put it. On a telephone pole, at a bar, at a club, on a wall. Use discretion, don't fuck up anybody's property, but let's get this shit known. Let's start getting the juices flowing. Let's start getting people to recognize this and kind of see this and go, hey, man, that's fucking different. I've never seen that before. Sharing is caring. Dig it. So let's take a look at the original era greasers versus the modern era greasers. I myself, the Madman, have always been a blend between modern era and original era. Okay? My roots are definitely in the original era, but I am in the modern day. And I do, of course, respect a lot of the modern day stuff that we have now. The style has changed. Let's not make any bones about this. In the 50s, cats were not wearing the big pompadours, the really big rolled out elephant's trunks. The really fucking huge sideburns and this extreme look. They weren't wearing that. They didn't have fucking band pins all over their jackets and their fucking denim vests, denim jackets, leather jackets. They weren't wearing that stuff back then. That's a modern day thing. Nothing wrong with it. It's just of a different era. Back in those days, you didn't have an Elvis Presley pin, a Jerry Lee Lewis pin, a fucking Johnny Burnett Trio pin, a fucking Gene Vincent pin, an Eddie Cochran pin, a fucking, you didn't have it. Okay? They weren't wearing stuff like that because they didn't have those things. I mean, nowadays, it's very common to see like a Three Bad Jacks pin, a Stray Cats pin, Madsen, Necrobanics, the patches, the pins, the merchandise, the shirts. That's a new thing. That's a modern era thing. Hairstyles were not extreme in the 50s. They were kind of extreme for their time, but by today's standards, by no means were they extreme. Let's take a look at some pictures of the clothing and the look and the hair from that era. As you guys can see, there is nothing extreme by any standards of today of that look. But at that time, you have to understand, wearing a t-shirt and jeans and leather jackets and boots and greasy hair, that was really out there for that time in the 50s. That was rebellious. You were a hood. You were a troublemaker. A fucking five and dime hood on the street corner probably going to knock somebody over for their fucking, lunch money. Or to rip off a liquor store, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the common stereotypes. Oh, you ride a motorcycle and wear a leather jacket, you must be a hood. You must be a hooligan. The proper gentleman in the 50s wore, suit, tie, slacks, nice shoes, a nice soft hat. They worked in offices, okay? People that wore jeans and t-shirts and flannels and stuff like that were lower class, like your working class people. And you got to remember, in the 50s, it was always about keeping up with the Joneses, having the black and white TV to the color TV to becoming having your first car to becoming a two-car family to just always high status, high class. And people that couldn't afford those things, and honestly, a lot of them just didn't give a shit, especially in the inner cities, well, that's looked down upon. the rock and roll and rockabilly and stuff like that, that was really out there for its time. That was, oh, that's the devil's music. It's horrible. It's hooligan music. That's just a bunch of noise. Not just for us greasers in this day and age, but for everybody in this day and age. You guys got to understand, we could go anywhere pretty much in many places throughout the world and see people wearing leather jackets and, t-shirts and jeans and boots. So, and they're of different styles, and maybe not a greaser style, like an old school retro look, but they're wearing them. It's a very common thing to wear that. Back then, that would get you fucking, questioned by the police. What are you doing around here? We don't like your kind around here. Fucking, leather jackets and ducktails. You guys are nothing but a bunch of hoods. We got my eye, I got my eye on you. Nowadays, people walk around like that all the time. Nobody bats an eye. So we have to say thank you to that original era for fighting for the right to be able to wear that stuff and normalizing it. Don't get me wrong, I do like to wear my two-tones and my fucking slacks and a nice shirt, especially when I'm going out bebopping. Still a hood. Still a dirty greaser. But you didn't really start seeing the big hair come into effect until the Rockabilly Revival in the late 70s going into the early 80s. I mean, hell, the 80s. Big hair generation. Look at guys like the Stray Cats with the big fucking crazy hair. They were just taking what was normal for that era and period and just duplicating it, but taking old school hairstyles and just doing them to the extreme. All the cats I grew up with in my era did the hair to the extreme. We did the really tall, flat pompadours that went straight up, and slicked back and, ducktailed in the back, We all did that stuff. That was our era. The common person on the street doesn't understand that there's a difference between the original era and the new era. I mean, and we know this to be fact, how many of you cats out there be walking around doing whatever, oh, you look like Elvis, even though you're sporting like this big-ass fucking elephant's trunk, right? Or, oh, you look like Fonzie, even though that you're wearing a flannel shirt and fucking chucks and pair of jeans, and you got a big-ass pompadour, right? You look nothing like Fonzie, but they don't know the difference. Most people are kind of dumb, and they don't really see things for what they are because they don't really understand it. They just see, oh, they saw something in a movie one time, and you kind of look like that, so it must be an identical thing. Well, not so. We also know this, well, look at all these fashion channels that cover the greaser look. I think we've all seen those. Fucking garbage! Whether you're an original guy, you're, a revival guy, a rebel from the 90s, a greaser from the 2000s era, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, even into today's world. We all share, as greasers, this common bond from the late 40s into the 50s, into the early 60s. We share this common bond. We love the doo-wop. We love the rockabilly. We love the old rock and roll. And, the cats in my era, we love the original stuff. But we listen to a lot of the modern-day rockabilly groups and the modern-day psychobilly groups. I, myself, listen to punk rock, and I listen to metal, a lot of 80s, rock and roll from the 60s and 70s, the swing era, doo-wop, fucking rock and roll, rockabilly, you name it. I like a lot of stuff. But to be a greaser, you have to have a love for the music, the look, and the lifestyle and attitude from that era. I've gotten people that have asked me, oh, can I still be a greaser and not like any of the music from that era? Well, no, you can't. I'm sorry to say that's what you're representing. If you're going to be a greaser, you're representing a look and lifestyle from a certain period. Okay? Oh, can I be a greaser and not look like a greaser? No, you can't. That would be like me saying, oh, I'm a psychobilly, even though I'm not a psychobilly. I don't even dress like a psychobilly. I don't wear clothes like a psychobilly. It makes no sense. Or be like me looking like a greaser and saying, oh, I'm a punk rocker. Different era, different period. Same mentality, same rebel spirit, different look, different time. Make no mistake, cats and kittens, the greaser thing has always been a subculture, even in the 50s. It was not a proper style. It's still not even quite proper now. A lot of people make fun of it. They don't understand it. They don't get it. Well, that's on them. That's their fucking problem. It's always been around, and it's always going to be around, and it's going to be making a bigger comeback than a lot of people realize. We're going to be the catalyst for that. I myself have had, original era cats that would see me, and they were like, wow, that's cool. You guys are a continuation of what we started. I really dig that. That's awesome. That's fucking cool, And I've always had a lot of love and respect from the original era. I love chatting with guys from the original era. I absolutely loved it. Maybe my hair was more extreme. Maybe my dress was a little bit more extreme. But they understood it, and they understood that it was just the progression of things, and it wasn't that we were disrespecting the original era. It just progressed. Like everything in life has. Everything in life progresses. Sometimes not for the better. But for the most part, when I was in high school and I would deal with a lot of the older crowd, they all understood what we were doing. And it was the same ideas and feelings and thoughts that they had back then. We may have looked a little bit different, but our attitude was the same. Our thought process were the same. We lived in that old school mentality. So I just wanted to cover that with you guys so you guys got a better idea of the difference between the original era and the modern day era. Hopefully you guys learned something about it. You guys do a little bit more checking for yourselves. Check out old photos, old videos, whatever you can find. I always tell you, do your fucking homework. Always do your homework. Always research your history. Always look into things. It's fun. You never know what you'll find. So, as always, if you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo. Hang loose and be safe. The madman is out. Carry on, soldiers. Let's make the prophecy happen. 2020. Dismissed.